Get 'em Giddy.
Welcome back to Get 'em Giddy Radio. I'm your host, Captain Cody Melton, along with Captain RJ, a.k.a. Captain Smokey, and Captain Taco. And today we are talking about the one thing that everybody seems to get fired up about, Bigeyes. Not only are we going to talk about Bigeyes, but we're going to talk about getting the bite, which means we're going to talk the preparation, how we're targeting them, structure, water, bait, what we're doing when we get marks, what we're doing. Actually, no, we're not talking about what we're doing when we get bites. See, it's going to be hard to break it up in my own head, but we're gonna talk about what we do to be successful, preparation and fishing wise to get bigeye bites. And I got nobody better that can talk to you about that. Captain RJ, a.k.a. Captain Smokey, my brother, who catches more bigeyes maybe than anybody on the East Coast. But that's a strong statement, so we don't want to overstep our boundaries. We're just going to stick to what we do. We got Captain Taco here, who's going to be able to chime in. He's been in the cockpit the last couple years about our rigging preparation. But before we get too far, we are going to talk about our most epic bigeye bite. The 3 different stories. And I'm hoping we're all going to come up with 3 different stories to tell, because we haven't discussed this. And I think we should start from the rarest to the most well done of the bigeye fishermen here. So we're going to start with Captain Taco.
Okay.
With his most epic bigeye bite.
Okay, so if we're just talking about a bigeye bite, I would probably say, it was probably last year, and we were in the Hudson, and it was kind of the middle of the day. We were trolling around. Well, it was in the morning. I just got to think all this in my head. It was in the morning. We were trolling around for a while. And
day and night are like the same thing that time of year.
Some bait started blowing up on top, and we drove through it. We might have done a couple circles around in it, and then we had some bigeyes come up. And I think one right off the back of the boat just completely aired itself right out the back of the boat. And then I think we had 1 or 2 bites. The rods started going off, started jigging the rods. I remember personally jigging we had a chain in the center pretty close to the back of the boat. I was jigging that, and another bigeye came up and came straight out of the water just while I was jigging. And I don't remember if it came tight or not, but we had like 3 or 4 come tight at the time. I was probably
airborne. Usually don't come tight.
Yeah, I don't think it did come tight.
Jumping right over like dolphins.
But we did have a few on, and that was. You remember that, RJ? That was probably the last bigeyes we got of the season this year.
Oh shoot! You're talking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, the one that came on chain. No, that did not come tight.
Did not. Okay.
No. I was yelling about that in the bridge. I was irritated. That was one of the coolest bites.
That was, yeah. They aired themselves pretty good that time. And it was in the middle of the day, which was a little... I mean, most of our bites are kind of dark, too. So that was probably the latest in the morning that I was around for a bigeye bite.
Well, I think that one happened around like... Right. I think it was right at noontime or so.
Was it that late? Yeah, it might have been. It was right before a front, because I know we're not getting into the fight, but right after we got...
It's a fine line, Taco. Well, you cannot get into the fight in this episode.
While we were fighting, the wind came up pretty damn good.
The wind came up and it rained. It downpoured, so they bit right before that front that pushed through. But
little last-minute meal?
Yeah.
That was pretty good. We were working that bait pretty hard, too.
Yeah, they were Tinker Max, right? Coming out of the water? They were pushing Tinker Max up?
Yeah, there's a lot of Max being pushed around there. But it was pretty
classic
cool.
Hudson bigeye bite.
It was pretty cool. Oh, you could see the fish feeding in them, though, too.
Well, you could. I was down in the cockpit, so I couldn't see as much as you.
I was seeing, like, bigeyes blowing up, like, off the port rigger there. You make a tight turn. Can't get the bite.
And I think, too, there was a lot of boats around. They were fishing a tournament. It was during tournament hours. It was the Manasquan tournament.
Oh.
It was.
Yeah, we weren't in the tournament, so we just plowed right through.
Well, you had already fished your days.
We fished that.
Yeah.
That was another one. That was another tournament that we fished.
Yeah,
We caught Bigeyes the day after.
You fished it the previous trip. You literally weighed in and left 30 minutes after you weighed in at 6 o'clock that night.
We weighed in, we left, and then that
Caught
following
that
morning.
the next morning, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't there. I just remember that.
Cody remembers more than me and RJ that were there.
Perfect.
Well,
times.
I remember because RJ fished 2 tournaments this year, and both times the trip after the tournaments, he caught a nice eyeball that would have won some money both times, probably. Actually, I don't know about your that one you're talking about. I don't remember how big that was.
I think that was a big one too. They caught some big ones that tournament.
I know the one after the White Marlin Open would have won. Would have won it hands down. So that was cool.
Irritating.
But that was a pretty good bite. What I'm talking about, because I think most boats, a lot of boats were hooked up that day.
Yeah, there were a lot of fish being caught.
A lot of big fish were caught.
Yeah, it was pretty steady bite.
Yeah, it was a good bite.
Good story. I guess we'll go down the line here. I'll go next. All right. So, this one I was actually in the cockpit for. One of the few times in the recent years, but it was in a tournament a few years ago. I mean, we had some crazy good yellowfin fishing, but there were big eyes on the board, so it's just like it was our second of 2 fish days.
Oh, I remember this one.
Time's winding down. There had been some, big eyes caught. You knew what you had to do. And we were catching yellowfin after yellowfin, like 60, 70 pounders, fish after fish after fish after fish.
It almost became annoying.
And, it's just not doing any good for you. So, we're trolling along, and I remember I moved the chains, tournament fishing, so we're pulling squid chains, and I remember just, it's just one of those things that time's winding down, you move it back, and I moved it to the long rigger, and I sent the chain just, like, way back. And, I don't know, 20 minutes later, monster blow up on the chain, nothing happens. And you're just like, shit, that was it. Like, fuck me. That was the bite we needed. I think we're down to like half hour at this point. RJ's running the boat. And, we turned him. I'm assuming he turned around. Actually, I know he did at this point. But at the time, I'm assuming he turned around, made a couple passes. And I literally think I was the only one in the cockpit at this time. Again, everyone was exhausted. They had caught so many fish that day. And your plug rod at the boat just starts dumping. Right? So it's like, yes. And literally every single bait gets blown up on over the course of the next 45 seconds. I mean, complete and utter chaos.
That was a good bite.
150 pounders, nothing, not 200 pounders, all 150, 140 pound fish. We hooked up to 6 of them, stayed tight on 6 of them, and landed 6 of them. Ended up taking second in the tournament. I just remember gaffing and slinging big eyes over the side from the adrenaline rush. I was actually looking at the video a few weeks ago.
That's after the bite.
Oh. That's no, we're allowed to talk.
Oh, okay, yeah.
With these stories, we're allowed to talk the end game, right? Or no?
I don't know, because my story had a lot more to the end game then, but go ahead. Yeah, you're good. Whatever.
I wasn't going to get, into it. Am I breaking the rules?
No.
I don't know.
No, you're good.
Continue, yeah.
It's part of the story,
yeah.
Anyway, we hooked up to 6 fish. We only, we had, this is when Drew was on the boat as a mate. So Drew was actually fighting a fish too. So it was
ran out of anglers.
It was just me organizing 6 big eyes, at the end of a tournament, and never forget that. I mean, just a really, really cool experience. Pounding out a bite, and it worked out. So yeah, that's probably just when you're running the boat. I mean, caught a lot of big eyes running the boat. Like, a lot of times you miss that first bite. Or at least, over time. A lot of times you miss that first bite or whatever. You don't exactly see them.
Especially on a plug rod. I'm
sitting there with my butt against the Bonner box, looking at the back of the spread. So the plug rod's like, 2 steps from me. And I just turn over and I see the reel start dumping, and then I look up and just chaos. So that was cool.
Remember, fine. One shearwater stuck its head in the water.
Yeah. I think that was like up, north at 100 square, because they moved like the boundary or something.
What tournament was it?
It's Beach Haven.
I think I slid a little bit to the east. Worked down that wall a little bit further than you typically do. I don't remember why.
And you know what's cool about that is we went 6 for 6. And I'm talking about the end game. I don't want to break the rules, but
yeah,
actually hooking up on 6 fish. I think we were pulling maybe 10, 11 rods at the time. 1 or 2 less tournament fishing sometimes. But got tight on 6 and landed 6.
You can't beat that.
Smokey?
Well, that bite you just went on, that was one of the coolest.
Well, I was hoping that wasn't yours.
No, the sad part about mine is that I never really saw the bites because it was after dark and before dusk. It was actually a set of bites.
I know exactly when this was.
Yeah, it was early season. Ran
140 miles, 130.
Well, initially, I don't know if you remember, the water was supposed to be at 100 miles.
In the Wilmington, right?
Yeah. Water was supposed to be at 100 miles. And it's getting dark and couldn't find the water. So we just kept driving. Couldn't find the water. Ended up, 40 miles past where it was supposed to have been, according to a couple of different charts. Just kind of get our gear in the water, get to work. Seen like a little bit of shearwater action, go across it, and I think we landed 2 yellowfin. And then get our gear back in the water just as like you're starting to lose light, make a turn on it, and go back over it. Ended up coming tight on 4 jumbo Bigeyes, all 200 plus.
Real jumbos.
Were you there, Cody? You were there?
I was not.
Okay,
I was not. I mean, that's one of the coolest pictures that we still have. There's a couple pictures from every year that stand out. Like, that was just like that dock picture. Well, first of all, the pictures on the boat. But anyway, not to interrupt. Keep going.
After we get done fighting those, it's late at night, so we shut down, go on drift, and then get our gear back out first thing in the morning, hour before sunrise, and before it's light again, all of a sudden the rods start dumping. You flick the big lights on. You're tight on another 4 jumbo Bigeyes. So it was. I don't know. It was a lucky bite, but it worked out. It made sense though where we were, the water was moving in. And it's not like we were there to catch Bigeyes. We were there to catch fish, but it was pretty cool.
I guess it's one of the things about a lot of Bigeye bites, and now I'm thinking about like my story was from the middle of the day, 2:30 in the afternoon. Tacos was from the middle of the day. You miss a lot of them at the dusk and dawn time frame.
Yeah.
What you end up just hearing is a rigger pop, and then waiting like 2-3 seconds and going like, I hope that son of a bitch starts dumping. And then you just start hearing it dump and you go, yeah, baby.
Yeah. Well, that either happens or you're sitting there cursing at it.
Right. The rigger pops at 4:30 in the morning and nothing happens. You're throwing, if I was you, I'd be throwing my Marlboro Red box.
Well, I think that... we had it happen... It happened at that time after we caught them after the White Marlin Open. Landed 1, turned around, had a rigger pop.
Yeah, bait was inhaled, never came tight.
Got it reset, turned back around again, and had another rigger pop.
Uh-huh.
So I missed 2 bites after we landed that one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But you can't see them.
Nah, I mean, if you go 50-50 on them, you're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Sloppy eaters, they push a lot of water.
Big ones.
Moving the baits in front of them, it's just tough to, when you got a single bait on which I'd say the majority of your bites come on. It's easy to push that out of the way, even with an 8 ounce or something. So,
yeah, I mean, the fortunate part about, like, yours and I stories, I know we had, good anglers on the boat, for mine and yours. And I think we had
we had a younger kid, I think, but he was pretty solid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other one that didn't make it in the boat during Taco's story, we had a good angler on too, but
okay, yeah.
Just
I don't know, because my story, which will definitely at some point we'll have a guest from my story, because that was his first tuna I think he ever caught.
Mm-hmm.
And
I let him have it.
Yeah. We had to do some good cop, bad cop to keep his mental ability high enough to land that fish. Tournament fishing can't pass the rod or nothing like that. So
you better land that freaking fish.
True
if you're
test.
on our rig.
True test of an angler. Yeah. So I mean, big eye fishing, right? I mean, to us, it's just kind of how we do things. And you produce bites out of it. And when we fish tournaments, things are a little bit more direct with how we're targeting big eyes. But, big eyes, people just love the word big eye. You catch a big eye, everyone wants to know where it was, this, that, and the other thing. Time on the water is huge, but...
as Captain Angry put it, sex appeal.
No, they got sex appeal, baby. Big eyes got the most sex appeal in the offshore world.
People love the big eyes.
Post one picture of one big eye beats 1,000 yellowfin. Somehow, people...
Well, I think even people just see a picture of, a big tuna, and sometimes there's, 4, 5, 6, 7 big tunas in a picture. They don't know what they're really looking at.
They just call them big eyes.
Yeah.
Or they catch a bluefin and think it's a big eye.
Right, yeah.
The old Jersey big eye.
Because apparently a 68-inch bluefin is bullshit in, like, the eyes of, like, anglers. But a 68-inch big eye is, like, gold. So, just knocking on some of these, the Jersey big eye thing going on. People will post up a picture of, like, a beautiful bluefin, a 200-pound bluefin, and be mad when you tell them that that's a bluefin and not a big eye. Same damn thing.
It's 200-pound stud.
Right. So.
Oh, yeah? I want to see you reel that thing in.
Yeah. Yeah, so, all right, cool stories. We just want, we wanted to get people's bloods flowing with some stories. And, I guess now we're going to kind of dive into the first half of catching big eyes, which is up until right after you get that bite. So the first thing we're going to talk about is our rigging, how we rig our gear, and what we probably do a little bit different than a lot of people, and how it stays together. So I guess we'll first talk about some, like...
Well, I think the big thing with rigging, obviously we're not rigging anything for big eyes. We're rigging everything to go tuna fishing.
Not unless we're tournament fishing. I just want to clarify that to people.
Yeah. But, and so, obviously you don't want anything to break on any fish. But, when you're rigging stuff, you want to, you're always thinking in the back of your head, you never know when you're going to get a big eye bite. Well,
I think we talk about the, 350-pound big eyes being like our standard for our gear.
Right.
I always say I hate fish stories. Fish stories piss me off.
Yep.
Don't go tell me some fish story, because that means it got away. That's bullshit.
Yeah, but we all got some really good ones.
Yeah, but it does nothing but irritate me if I got to tell somebody it got away, because I don't handle that. I don't deal. It's nonsense.
Or when you have to send your brother a text that a crimp pulled.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, even you could do everything right with Bigeyes and stuff still breaks. I mean, that's,
Absolutely.
that's the reason. I mean, you could be pulling a bar, say you're pulling a bar with a stinger on it, and it's a little curly-cued or, a little messed up, and you could still land 10, 15 yellowfin on it. You get that one Bigeye bite that's going to be on for an hour. I mean, there's a good chance that could break.
That's what it is. You get your one bite.
Absolutely.
Right.
And that's
what everybody works
That's the
for.
idea, and that's the attention to detail is that hopefully you're taking it from 50% success to 60% success. You're never going to be 100. So, I don't know. Taka, how about you tell us about, like, I don't know, just some of the things that you do, just because you've been in the cockpit the last couple of years, some of the things that you do, just normally. Again, like you're not doing them because you're catching a bigeye, but just your normal tackle maintenance, your tackle rigging.
So, yeah, I mean, so obviously, when you come, the biggest thing with any of this is going to be like the tying the knots and the crimps. I mean, that's where probably most of your failures are going to be unless you got chafed line. And chafed line, all you can do really is just watch out for it and check for it. Usually just run your finger through it and check for it. But I think most of the time when something breaks, it's out of connection. I mean, wouldn't you guys agree?
Yeah.
On the Bigeyes.
With us,
Yeah,
I mean,
not necessarily. Yeah,
we do a pretty good job. I think like if I'm, and I don't know for sure, but I feel like an average angler, something that I just hear people say a lot is that's good enough, and like
right.
they'll run their fingers down the line and go, that's good enough.
Yeah.
Well,
it is good enough for a little, 50-pounder.
Well, that's what I'm like. So to me, like maybe not because we know, right? Like we feel it, we cut it, replace it. So we kind of hopefully eliminate that ourselves, but a lot of people don't. So, I would say definitely most of our issues come from connections. I'm not disagreeing, but I just feel like a lot of other people might have issues with their line.
Well, yeah, I mean the only other issue we've had, like you say connections. I mean, we get very few of them.
Yeah.
But the only other thing I've experienced is like bad batches of line. Yeah, you're talking about like shit breaking in the middle. Had that happen, I've seen it where all of a sudden you get a couple that you'll get a center break on it, right there in the middle of the leader. Yeah, I've had it happen on batches a couple of times, and then obviously you go about re-rigging everything that you rigged with that batch of leader, but
yeah. I also when I talk about connections and stuff like that is we've been doing this for 20 years now. We had a lot of learning to do in the beginning. So
oh yeah,
that's something like we know that we've lost fish because of bad connections, and you're never gonna forget about it. So
once you fuck one up, yeah,
right.
Once you cost you one.
If you lose fish now because of connections, if we do, then it's fighting. It's time to fight because we did something wrong.
Yeah,
but we know better. But I agree with you, Taco.
Well, yeah. I mean, even like I'm just thinking of it from a standpoint, not necessarily losing fish, but like
that's where your weaknesses are.
I've fished with a couple. We'd have a couple different people fish with us on the boat this year that crimping and stuff like that, and you could ask someone, they'll say it's perfect and good, and you go to pull it and it breaks. I mean, it's
well, that's the other thing that we do though. That
right
we didn't talk about yet is the pull test.
Right.
Well, your connections are your natural weak points, right? So that's trigger number one. That's just science or physics is probably the proper word.
Yeah.
Physics?
Yeah.
Your connections are your weak point. Anytime you cut something and reattach it, well, actually, I don't know. I just got my colon cut and reattached, and they say that it's stronger than it used to be.
Because you got welded.
Yeah.
Must have been an FG knot.
But yes, those are your natural weak points, right? So that's where human error is involved.
Yeah.
And those are points where human error can be. So,
but how we go about eliminating the potential for human error, I mean, Taka, you can elaborate on on how we go about ensuring that
So I mean,
that human error doesn't make it in the water.
Yeah, there's a lot of things you can do if it's on a hook. I mean, a lot of times, like a connection to a hook, what we do at least, usually attach it to the hook to the cleat of the boat. I mean, you could do it any sturdy point. I mean, we use the cleat. Most people probably don't want to use their cleats though, but
That's
yeah,
smart.
right.
Most people probably lose more fish.
Right. So what I do is I put the hook on the cleat, and then usually you got some kind of loop on the other side. Well, that's kind of for a stinger or whatever. If you got a loop, we'll use a pick gaff. Put it in the loop, pull on it. I mean, probably pulling on it. You got to think you're using 20 pounds of drag, so you want to pull on it. If you pull on it with 40, 50 pounds of pressure, which pretty much just leaning into it with your body.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't break there, it's probably not going to break with 20 pounds of drag. Basically, and then if you don't have something you could put a pick gaff in, you gotta have gloves on it to pull test it properly. I mean, I don't know. I don't care who you are. I don't think you can pull test something properly without gloves.
I don't wear gloves.
Wow. Okay.
Remember how? Yeah, never mind.
I mean, what I do is I put gloves on. I wrap my hand around the line. Same method, putting your body weight into it. On swivel connections, I mean, pretty much you could do the same thing. I mean, sometimes we're using. I mean, how long are our leaders? 12 feet, probably 12, 15, right?
Yeah, 12 to 15.
Right there.
12, 15 feet. So a lot of times you can't, especially if you're doing a connection out on the boat, you can't hook it to a cleat and walk across the cockpit. You got 6 customers on the boat. You don't have that kind of room. So, I mean, you just, same thing, put gloves on, wrap your hands around the line, and just pull. And pull as hard as you can like your life depends on it, because if you get that one bigeye bite and it's not... I mean... Did a lot of crimp all the time, but still pull test everything.
Everything.
I mean,
Yeah,
everything.
Because even, I had one instance this year. I mean, I used the same crimpers every day, and there was a point in our season where I pulled something and it broke. I thought it was strange, and what happened was our crimpers just started loosening up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You got to tighten the crimpers down. Would have never thought twice about the crimpers. Did hundreds of crimps with them before that.
Yeah, the cam in it started wearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wore down a little bit, and we adjusted it. All was good afterwards, but
yeah, I mean, it didn't cost us anything, but you
And by
would have never caught that if you didn't pull test everything.
Yep.
because you tested it.
And the whole idea of that process is to take out the human error side of issues. I mean, like RJ said before, you might end up with bad line or something that just can't handle stress, or you're going to have things that go wrong. But if you take out what you can control, right, and then that's the idea. That's to take the extra, in all realisticness, let's say it takes 30, 45 seconds to do that. You're going to save yourself a lot of headache. A lot of headache.
Yeah, but I mean, I just want to go back and double implement. I mean, Taco, you said mid-season. At that point, how many crimps do you think or knots have you tested? I mean,
I couldn't
1,000
even tell you.
probably,
Probably
right?
1,000. Yeah,
Probably 1,000.
Probably over 1,000.
That were perfect.
And then just out of the blue one day, pull one, and it broke.
Mid-season. Everybody says they fish a lot, do a lot. That was 1,000 crimps. Probably before that, 1,000 before you had 2,000 before you had a failure.
Right.
But you caught that one. That 350 jumbo would have came up and piled on an 8, and then you would have been kicking yourself in the ass because you had a fish story.
And I know we obviously probably drag our stuff a lot more than most people do, but I mean, even though you pull test something and it's fine, you go out and fish it and catch a couple fish on it. I mean, just wear and tear on the stress of the line and everything can fatigue the knots, and you go to pull them and they break instantly. I mean, usually like before every trip, I'll go back and pull test everything. Even though I pull tested it when I tied it and know it was good, and every once in a while something does happen like that. I mean, just from fatigue.
Yeah.
Right. Most people, 99% of people probably I mean, shoot, if they catch 10 to 15 fish on a spreader bar their whole life, that they might own their boat. I mean, that's realistic, right? I mean, but
on a
for
bar?
us,
yeah.
But for us, that's a matter of a week sometimes on a bar, like that bar that you're pulling on that short rigger.
Yeah.
Without doubt.
So that week goes by, you catch 10, 15 fish on it. It's weaker. It's weak. I mean, it's going to be weaker. So knowing when that point is when you have to rebuild it, check that crimp, etc., is important. And that's why you guys, every lay day, you guys go through the tackle.
Mm-hmm.
And if someone new hops on the boat, they check the crimps, or or check the knots and stuff like that, especially on the wind-ons on the ballyhoo rigs.
Mm-hmm.
So, those little things, and I'm very confident that they pay huge dividends in the success.
Little things,
as Captain Smokey would say, eliminating fish stories.
the little things of missing a bigeye bite. You be out there, you get a bite from a whitey, and it doesn't come tight. And you leave the rod in the rigger, and then you get a bigeye bite on that, and gone, because you never reeled it in, checked it, because what I mean, just little things like that.
They're all chafed up.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's some of the rigging stuff that we do. Going into the spread, it's really not like. Again, if we were tournament fishing for tuna, right, we'd be pulling a different spread.
Tournament fishing for bigeyes.
Yeah, when I say tournament fishing for tuna, everyone hopefully knows what I'm talking about. But yes, bigeyes. Yeah. Our spread, simple. It's bars and baits.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, we can. I mean. So we'll go over the spread real quick, right? I mean, our long riggers were pulling skirted ballyhoos. Our mid riggers were pulling skirted ballyhoos.
Mm-hmm.
Our shotgun is typically a skirted ballyhoo. Our deep center. A lot of times we'll pull a chain shorter in the center, and then our short riggers, tip tops and flatlines are spreader bars.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
not much to it.
There's not much science, we'll throw a plug rod, short center.
Got a favorite color
Of a plug?
Bigeye. Not necessarily plug. No,
A
anything
Bigeye
in the spread,
color.
like a color or a bait. Like, what would you put your money on the bit you get?
Cody likes his blue and
I
white.
like my blue and white skirt.
Loves his blue and white.
Yeah, well, yes. I would pick that if it was my one.
On the long rigger?
On the long
Or
rigger.
the center long rigger?
But, no, just the long rigger.
Long rigger.
I like the long rigger better than the shotgun.
Okay.
Cleaner water. That bait's just... If they want it, they can go get it. It's just so clear and clean out there that, it's easy to see. If I was picking a bar, it'd be green. If I was picking a plug. Plugs are tricky because they change. There's a goggle eye bomber that was really good for a while.
Isn't it sardine color? It's the green olive looking one. No, not.
It's goggle eye.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it is called goggle eye.
It's a goggle eye bomber.
Google eye.
I mean, your purples, your pinks. I mean, yeah. But go back to the one. It'd be a blue and white skirt. But this year, pink and white was
hot.
Like ridiculous.
Hot.
Ridiculous hot.
Pink and white, you couldn't keep that in the water.
Like I've never seen a ballyhoo skirt get picked out of a spread like that. Have you?
No. Nope.
Never.
No question about it.
Like, not even close. It because you go, you catch it, and it happens, right? On trips you get 2 bites on purple when you go, you put a second purple out, and then you never get the bite on purple. With pink, it was every time, if you had 1, they would eat that. If they had 2, they would eat that. If you had 3, they would eat that. And it was just what the hell?
Yeah. The pink and white was epic this year.
So that was a little bit different. What about you, Taco? If you had to pick your one Bigeye?
Well, I would say the pink and white.
Yeah.
The pink and white, especially on the 53 and the center rigger on the center long. I mean,
Oh,
that
yeah.
heavy pink in the center long. If I had to put my money somewhere, if we got one Bigeye bite in the spread, that was going to be the one bite.
Down tight.
Smoky?
Going on an average, I still like my
You got
my green.
skirt?
Yeah.
Green skirt?
Yeah, you're going.
John Deere.
You're going real average. Okay.
John Deere. Chartreuse and green.
I thought you were going to say the redheaded slut.
Well,
'Cause that's that's my second favorite.
Yeah, I was gonna say, she's been good to me too, but that might be my number 2 as well. The blue and white falls real down on the bottom of my line. It doesn't produce very well for.
If I was talking
what we've
Bigeye
got.
bites on the 57, I'd go with the red and white.
Yeah.
Yeah, the slut. Yeah.
The blue and white's true and tested, man.
I
True
know
and
it is.
tested.
That just doesn't do it on.
The pink and
On the
white. It's. I
53.
mean, it's. I almost said pink and white just because of how ridiculous it was this year, but you got to stick to the core.
Well, really just pink. I mean, not pink and white.
Yeah, it was the pink color. Yeah.
Yeah. Because, some of the lead heads were just straight pink, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. At least the ones we were pulling.
We started running out of pink. Couldn't find pink.
Yeah.
Straight pink, baby.
Well, everybody had us anything pink.
So spread wise, I mean, besides we also bombers and then the Nomad plugs. They have their years. They were okay this year.
They got eaten.
Yeah. A couple years they were slow, like 16, 17 they were real hot. Maybe 18. I don't know. It's hard to keep track, but and
think
Y
they're-
trackers are like a new fathomable thing. I don't see them as successful with Bigeyes. I fish them more than you do.
Well, I mean, yeah, the only ones that we pull in the spread we're not really wide tracking with. I mean, they're off the tip tops, just getting out behind the dredges.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're not really wide tracking.
What
I mean,
about those
some-
Mad Max? Did we get any big eyes on them?
No, we got no big eye bites
No?
yet. Yeah, just
No.
yellowbirds
Okay, yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Well, something I found out over the last 2 years is that a lot of people actually don't pull ballyhoo.
Yeah.
Do you think that they are missing out on big eye bites?
I've never put out a full plastic spread before, so I have a hard time commenting on it. But if I were to, the reason I haven't put that out is because I feel like I would be missing out on bites. But I know the guys that have put them out, and very capable fishermen, and they say that they produce. So it's tough.
Right. I mean, that's the only reason I asked the question, because I've had the same experience. Like I've never done it, but I know people that have do good enough. They don't fish as much, but have caught.
Caught big eyes.
Yeah. So
We're just talking about putting the like the rat tails behind the
yeah,
You're still
Behind the
pulling
skirts,
lead
right?
heads.
yeah
Yeah.
the rat tails behind
I'm talking like full plastics,
Like no lead heads with rat tails?
no lead heads.
yeah, that would produce.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see that producing.
No, I'm asking.
I wouldn't pull that for big eyes.
You still didn't answer my question completely. Do you think they're missing out on big eye bites?
Yes,
Yeah.
just judging by the way that I've seen big eyes pick out certain stuff.
I mean, I feel like you would have to say yes because of the way you fish. Like
Yeah.
if you really thought,
The whole idea of our spread is, especially on the 53, like the bars and the dredges and everything were all fished up tight to the boat, so it looks like one big school of fish going through the water, or school of bait going through the water. And then you got your singles in the back, which are your mids, your longs, and your long center, and those are kind of like stragglers, weak bait, easy pickings, and those are a lot of times what get easily picked off. It's just Mother Nature. It's how fish are designed to feed.
do you think fish think that pink is feminine like humans do?
Well,
Interesting question.
I think fish.
He's got a real serious face on. He didn't even smile.
Well, because I just went back to thinking. I read an article
Oh, here we go.
beginning of this year on different colors that fish can and can't see, how they do see them, what changes as they approach and get closer, like how tuna's eyes are designed to focus since they're approaching prey and stuff like that. No, they don't think they're feminine colors.
Very serious.
See it as food. It's a Bigeyes, man. I'm always fucking serious.
Mm-hmm.
I think they think they're squids. Pink squid.
Angry squids, then.
Fast squids.
Fast squids. Fair enough.
I don't know how fast does a squid swim? Can a squid swim 7-8 knots?
Google it.
I don't have no idea.
If you were a squid and the tuna's chasing you, how fast would you swim?
As fast as I could, but what's their top end?
But if you're with...
I don't know how fast they can swim because they're just like oomphin'. You know, they're like shh, poof, 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 poof.
But if you're with 1,000 of your buddies, do you want to swim fast or do you want to swim with them?
I want to swim in the middle to front.
You want to swim with them?
You don't want to be in the back, right? I mean,
No.
get that from spreader bars. Don't want to be the last guy. That's easy. You don't want to be on the side either. Yeah, so middle front. Because they bite the sides of the bars all the time.
But Jimmy
Where's your phone at? Google how fast a squid is.
Well, it's probably going to say there's like 100 different squid species.
Tuna squids.
Elix. Elix squids are local squids.
How fast is he?
Not fast enough.
I want to say they top out. I mean, like, 10 knots.
Average jet velocities. It's called a jet velocity.
Shit.
It's in centimeters.
What the
Oh, god damn it.
Canadians.
Shit, NJ Fish and Game was measuring our fish in kilograms and centimeters the other day. They were measuring our striped bass.
Thanks a lot, Joe.
I
They
told him to get
measure
that
our
European
tuna.
shit out of here. I was fucking pissed. What the hell?
Well,
What's our tax dollars?
we don't have time to convert centimeters to knots.
Well, a giant squid goes 20 miles an hour. That's all I came up with.
All right.
Short notice.
But they're big.
I'm pretty sure a giant squid's got to be pretty giant.
Yeah, well, giant squids are big.
What eats them?
Well, we'll do some research.
Whales?
Maybe we can. By the time we get to the next podcast,
Part
we
two,
will
we'll
convert
have it.
centimeters to knots, if that's possible, and we'll get you guys an answer on
It was centimeters an hour?
I don't know what it was.
how fast a squid is.
Better be a lot of centimeters.
Okay. All right. So before we talk about that forever, spread, Reagan. Oh, so where are we fishing? That's probably something a lot of people would like to know.
In the ocean.
They want to have a tracker on board.
In the ocean.
So we kind of did a little bit of talking before this to concise our ideas of how we go about bigeye fishing. So, you know, and if we were going to target bigeyes, our step-by-step process of our thinking. So the first thing we're going to talk about, well, I'm going to list all three. So number one we're looking for while we're bigeye fishing is structure. And I think we're going to kind of break it down like the Northern Jersey Canyon, Southern Jersey Canyons, and RJ and I are going to touch upon that. Second would be water, clarity, color, you know, using stat shots, using, more importantly, your eye when you're actually out there fishing. And then bait. They're big fish. They need to eat. Not that I haven't caught bigeyes without marking a ton of bait, but it's always a help. So I guess, you know, we're going to kind of hint upon all three. And without getting like too far into it, we're not going to talk about like what kind of bait balls we're looking for. We're not going to talk about that. But I'm going to have RJ hit the Linden Cole Carteret Tom's Hudson and just maybe go over like two spots that you would like to see all three of those things, like two of your more...
Two of those spots in that area?
Yeah. Like, you cover those four canyons, or if you just want to talk about, like, bigeye fishing in the Hudson and maybe some areas. But just go over, like, if you had to pick your structure, and it had water and bait.
Yep.
Where you would kind of fish, and I'm gonna, I guess, really focus on the Wilmington. So
Okay.
that's why I kind of gave you a couple. I could pick the Spencer, but I'm not gonna pick the Spencer.
Yeah, I mean, so
The Baltimore is good too. Sorry.
well, like if I had to start with the best example would be, let's go with the Hunter Square and the Hudson. Everybody knows that place, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Just to clarify, if you're going through the step-by-step process, where you're looking to go through that step-by-step process at, go. I know you were doing it. I just wanted to clarify.
well, okay, so you got that structure, right? And your water has pushed over top of it. That would be ideal. What I'm looking for bait-wise there, is that?
Well, your step one, no. So like your step one is your structure.
Okay.
So like you're at the dock, and this is how I'm thinking about it. Like you're at the dock, and you know the structure pieces you like, right? Mm-hmm. That's easy. So then your second step is you're going to look at a sat shot real quick, and if something intrigues you water-wise,
Right.
you know, that would be
That the water's pushed over top of that
The
particular
structure.
piece of structure.
right.
Right. Yep.
So really what you're starting to, well, I'm going to go back to, is a couple pieces of structure that you would look for that to happen at. Like I said, that's why I said you had the Linden North.
You want my favorite places to fish?
You can give us your third favorite and fifth favorite.
What the heck?
Well, there's a couple gimmies.
Well, my favorite place to fish is where the fish are. Yeah, a couple give me. I mean, look, you got the Hudson. Everybody knows Hunter Square, southwest corner. You got Tom's. You got that little piece up to the northeast there, just outside of the canyon, and then you got the southwest corner and Tom's. And then the
You don't
Linden
have,
Coal.
yeah. Okay.
I mean, really, like the whole Linden Coal. Actually, this year, yeah, we did find some
Down outside to the southwest,
Yeah, at it.
or just
Well, I
really
mean,
just south.
yeah, but she was holding about 5,000 feet of water.
Right, that's kind of why I said south, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean,
Out
it
in the
was-
deep.
I never really found fish there before, but we found them consistently there for about every time I went back for about a month. You know, there was stuff there, like in the exact location, but I don't. Anyways, other than that, I mean, it's the tip of the canyon there in Linden Coal.
Yeah.
You know, there's no secret to any of that. And they all, you know, if you go there, you got water, you got the structure, check it out, mark fish there, you don't. You know?
Right. So all right, so we left the dock. You know, you kind of pick, you know, let's use the 100 square of the Hudson.
Mm-hmm.
There's some water that intrigues you. You got them over top of some structure. You're there. You know, give me a quick overview of what you're looking for. You know what? You know, you might go to that structure and it not be what you want. So what is it that you want to see?
Well, when I get there, you know, if the water's covering the whole structure, 100 square, you got some varying depths there. So I'm going to try and zigzag that and cover as many different depths as I can. Try and figure out where I can find some bait marks, some fish marks, something. If I could find, you know, the birds flying around at a specific depth. Go from there. Kind of narrow down my zigzag. Varying less depths. Get it more concentrated into that depth range, and then just try and zero in on them that way. It's kind of what I'm looking for. If I'm not finding anything, do I go into that?
Yeah.
I mean,
you know, sometimes we get to places and the water is not what we thought it was too, right? I mean,
well then, yeah, you got to go find the water.
yeah.
But that doesn't mean that there's not fish there, because
Right.
yeah, I mean, the Bigeyes hold more to the structure than they do to the water. So, I mean, you still kind of got to do a brief survey of the area, if you will.
That's basically what I'm asking.
Okay.
You're surveying the area. You know, what might keep you there?
Shoot. If the birds look right, if the bait looks right on the screen.
Yeah. Well, it's a gut feeling for you.
If I smell them,
it's a gut feeling for us, so it's tough to explain.
If I'm just excited, maybe
bites.
Yeah, bites
are
cool.
Will keep you there. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I could, just like you said, it's a gut feeling. I mean, I could not see any of that stuff and still be like, "There's fucking fish here."
Oh yeah.
You know, and then just
right.
So,
as you would say, it's not a science.
It's not. It's not.
Um,
Anybody tells you that they have the secret formula, they're bullshit because they'd be millionaires.
So if I'm fishing, I mean, I'm going to talk about, approaching the Wilmington. The Wilmington is a true and tested, Bigeyes canyon, year after year. They like that structure. You got the east notch there, the east wall from the notch to the corner, and then up around the corner a little bit. Is all a really good area, and then you also have the southwest corner. The one thing about the Wilmington that is a little different in my experience than any other canyon is that I have had several instances of bigeye bites in 450 to 600 feet of water.
Yep, it's you up shallow there.
And that's different, and it makes it more difficult. Because typically,
it's a little bit steeper structure too.
Yeah. Yep.
My theory is the currents come through there differently, which causes them to feed differently.
The current rips through there.
Well, the subsurface currents that.
Yeah.
We really have no idea what's going on.
I mean, so if you're fishing, again, right? I mean, the one thing about the Wilmington, which is, also a little bit like the Hudson out of Manasquan, the Wilmington is the closest canyon to me. Trust me, guys, sometimes if we don't have anything better to go off of, we're just going to go to the canyon nearby, and because we know it best, right? And that's our best shot of putting, reading the area and the landscape and stuff. So fish the Wilmington a lot. But if I see water that intrigues me, that pushes in on that east wall. If I see a patch of water push in, and it's only like halfway in the canyon, or it's sitting on that east corner, northeast corner, I am there as fast as I can get there. And I'm working between 2,500 and 400 feet along that east wall. I'm looking for mammal life. I'm looking for birds. I've had bites there without bait. I've had, this year it was loaded up with bait the entire summer. And I think the bite was a little bit dependent on when that bite, or when they got away from that bait a little bit. I actually had better fishing days when I wasn't marking as much bait, which is, something that you don't experience all the time. So the structure you're looking for, I mean, the northeast corners, if I say this, the corners and most of the canyons are decent spots.
Yeah.
Most of your bigger canyons.
Yeah, as long as they get good structure there. Yeah, steep walls.
Yep. The smaller canyons like your Spencer, your Carteret, they don't seem to hold. You get fresh water that pushes in there, you can catch your eyeballs there, but they don't really hold.
Yep.
They don't have much steep structure. There's no corners for them to really sit on. They have corners per se, but not really.
Yeah, I mean, if there's bites there, they're a day or two.
Yeah, they're there and gone. So, I don't know, Taco, we talked about this before. Did we talk about structure and stuff? Like enough? Like, did we
Yeah,
elaborate?
yeah,
You think,
I think-
Well, we gave them specific spots that better be good enough.
Yeah, I mean, you told them where to go, what side,
Well-
how deep, where to zigzag.
yeah, go ahead, give it a shot, man.
No, but yeah.
Still gonna outfish you.
Well, yeah, they're not always.
You still have to be a fisherman.
they're not
I mean,
always
that-
on that
right.
specifically on that structure. I mean, that's just
No, not at all. They have to get there somehow.
yeah.
Thing is, once they get to those places, they usually hold there.
Mm-hmm. At least for a little bit.
Yeah. Yep. You know. Yeah. So, let's say we're marking them. This is kind of a stupid question. I mean, you're marking. No, it's a good question. But I don't think a lot of people have their sounders that deep. So, you know,
Well, how deep is your sound? Why don't you go over? Because you know, the settings a little bit.
yeah,
Not
well,
the settings, but you know what I mean.
that's-
The depth range.
I was going to talk about, like, you know, what kind of marks are intriguing to you. Is there a certain depth to us that might, you know, we see depths of marks, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I know I fish a little my sounder a little bit differently than a lot of other guys. I fish it at 300. Yeah, there's a lot of guys that run around with their depth sounders down at 600, 700, 800 feet, and I'm like, good lord! I mean,
No,
a tuna mark's got to be the size of a pencil tip or something. Like I don't even know how you see that.
Oh, you hear people all the time. They're like, "Oh, I'm marking them at 650."
Yeah.
Okay, well, fucking good luck because they ain't seeing your stuff.
Right, that's why I do it at 300. If I don't mark anything above 300, I don't have a shot in the world at it coming up and eating my crap.
Yeah. No, exactly. So, I mean, I'll elaborate on that, right? Because I keep my sounder pretty close to that. Sometimes I'll put it down to like 360 if I'm looking at a dead screen. I'll zoom out a little bit just to make sure I'm not like.
Oh yeah, you'll move it around occasionally for shits and giggles. Like,
But-
okay, am I not going crazy? But
I'm looking. I want to see my Bigeye marks less than 300 for me to think that I got a real shot at them. And if I can get them up to 120, is like beautiful.
oh yeah, 120s. Yeah,
I think this year, that day I was with you, Taco, where we had like those couple misses first, we had a break off, and then we got piled on.
Yep.
They were at like 100.
well,
Okay.
I feel like I get a lot of bites at 200.
Well, I'm just saying. I'm saying if you mark them at 100 to 120, is like
Should get a bite.
right.
Yeah. Every
I
time
mean,
you drive over.
you can always be frustrated, but like, if you're not getting bites, then it's probably not what you think it is. If you're fishing them for a while, if you're marking them and you see them on your screen and you know what a Bigeye looks like, at 1 to 120, you should be getting your bites.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. You definitely should be. I'm thinking I get more if I see him at 2. I'll get more immediate bites off of it than if I see him at 100, 120. A higher percentage of fish coming up to eat at 2 for me.
That makes sense. But you're saying at 120, you're still maybe getting a bite a couple passes later.
Yeah. Just a lesser percentage of them coming up and eating. Maybe in my theory to that is they're getting a better look at your stuff. Maybe they're able to kind of pick some stuff out that they don't like, whereas the ones coming up from 2 are just doing it so fast and hard that they don't have a second to question anything.
Dude, that's why fishing is fishing. Because I have an opposite view of that. I don't fish at 200 frustrate me a lot. So I just, that's where I want to see him. That's where, if I'm marking them there, Taco was on the boat with me quite a bit the last couple of years. That's when I'll tell him to jig and stuff like that. Like, that's when I feel like they're coming.
Yeah.
They should be coming. You're always going to have times where it's just not going to work. But anything less than 250, I feel like you have a really solid shot at getting bites.
100%.
Yeah. So that's kind of why I'm usually like 300, 330 on my sounder. You're at 300. I never even talked to you about that, so we're pretty close.
You're
Anything?
a 360 guy.
I might have a 360 occasionally.
No, that's what I.
You know what I did towards the end of this season, because
360 guy, and he's over here telling us he's a 300 guy.
I did towards the end of the season, because there was some stuff a little bit down deeper. The bait, really.
Yeah.
Seeing the bait.
I mean, it doesn't change the idea. I mean,
No.
yeah. No, I hear you. You can bust on them.
No, it wasn't even an extra 60 feet could be a mark or not. I mean, if they're
Well, it is.
if you're
Yeah, I
driving
mean,
around
I think we're both on the same page. We would
Yeah.
love to see we would love to be seeing things less than 300 feet. If we're not, we're going to start adjusting. We're going to start, I would just much rather find something. I would rather find something that looks, good at 200 feet than something that looks great at 500 feet.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
That's like
my theory behind that is, if you got your screen out to 600, and let's say you are seeing them there, well, goodness gracious, you're going to waste a whole lot of time waiting for that thing to come up and eat.
right.
But
But if it's the only thing you got then it's the only thing you got, and we've had that.
yeah, if you have to work that at the end of the day, then that's
Right.
what it is. But
We're big eye fishing, right? So if we're moving around all the structure, and that's what we're doing that evening, and it's half hour before sunset, or it's sunset.
yeah, we got
And the only thing you've seen at 600 is you go, all right, well, I'm gonna pound the pavement and see what happens.
Yeah, if you had a mark over in the notch at 600, and
Right.
yep,
And you haven't seen anything else, well then
you're gonna go drive circles over that. Yep.
that's the best thing you got to go. So it's just not like I'm not going to spend a lot of time working 600 where it seems like other people do, 500 or whatever.
Yeah.
Which, maybe we get one of our down periscopes or something. Maybe they're seeing something down there.
I don't know.
And then, we're talking about marks a little bit. I think the big thing, the last thing on marks is knowing where you got your bites. Because those spots, once fish move in on them, they repeat. There is certain areas of certain areas. Mm-hmm. That's why we're not too worried with telling you where we like to fish. There's certain areas, there's certain spots in the 100 square.
Well, yeah, because I'm not worried about telling you, because the stars have to
I'm
align
making a
for
joke.
for me to pick a certain spot.
Making a joke.
Okay, go ahead.
No. I was making a joke about not too worried about telling them the 100 square when we know that there are particular areas within that area that produce. That's why we have marks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do yourself a favor, make your mental, whether it's mental notes of where you marked things or you physically mark it on your screen, because that will, or it seems like it happens a lot, returns full circle the next season or 2 seasons later. When those fish do move back into that area, they end up back on those same exact numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just a tip, a little add-on. Last thing wanted to hit on is, we're doing it up until we get the bites. So we got a bite.
Whoa. We got a bite? It's up until the bite.
Yeah.
No, it's Getting the Bite is the name of this episode.
Okay.
So the next one's got the bite.
Yes.
Okay.
We got him giddy.
I don't really know.
This episode should be Get Him Giddy. Next one should be Got Him Giddy.
Okay. Whatever.
Cody's head's spinning. We're
Well, I'm trying to. I don't really know how to
wandering
say
off
this.
topic, and
No,
he's
no.
getting
I'm just
mad.
trying. I don't know how to say this one. I mean, how to get multiple bites.
Don't stop the boat.
I mean, it's a dream. It's a wish most times when you're big eye fishing. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. So, number one, we're always keeping the boat in gear for a while. You got a lot of line on that reel. Trust me. If you if you're pulling,
Leave in gear for longer than you're comfortable with.
yeah, if you're, I mean, if you're still pulling straight mono, then maybe we'll make a podcast for you on doing some C16 work. But like, if you got back in on your reels and you're pulling 30s, 50s, 80s, you got plenty of line there, buddy. Keep her in gear. Get your multiple bites. 30 seconds, 45 seconds, a minute. All right. That's how you're going to get your multiples to come up, which makes a huge difference. You do a lot of work to get that bite.
Yep.
The best way to capitalize is to make a multiple out of it, right?
Yep.
So, and the best way to do that, keep those baits running. If you were walking down the street and your buddy got bit by a dinosaur T-Rex, you're not going to stop and let the dinosaur bite you. All right? You're going to run away. And then the other dinosaurs are going to have to chase you.
Yep.
So, if you're in the spread and the short rigger goes off and all the other baits just stop, the other tunas are going to go like, whoa, something up with these baits.
Some funny cheeseburgers.
But the other baits run away from the tunas. They're going to go like, oh, yeah, let's get them. And then you get your multiple bites. You like that explanation, Taco?
Yeah, I got dinosaurs and everything running down the street.
What kind of dinosaur would you be if you could be a dinosaur?
I'm probably go with. I only know of like a T-Rex would be like the only dinosaur I know the name off the top of my head.
That T-Rex has short arms. You got big old lanky arms.
Yeah, you can't be a
don't know.
T-Rex. You're like a
I don't know any
You're
other-
a pterodactyl.
Pterodactyl?
Yeah, they're cool. They fly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're vegetarians, so they're wimpy.
I thought they ate some of the people. Remember they landed in Jurassic? Nah, I don't know.
Yeah, those
Don't
are like
know.
mutant ones.
And then RJ, why don't you all right, so you got one bite. You either landed it or didn't land it. The best way that you would, or how would you go about trying to repeat that bite on that Bigeye, or on a repeat a Bigeye bite that same 2 hours later, hour later?
Shoot, lots of variables to this one. Well, there is and there isn't. If you got the bite on the structure,
Keep
then
it simple, stupid.
if you got the bite on structure, on specific structure, first you're gonna work, your original spot that you got the bite in. Also work up the line from where you got that bite. So a lot of times when you get a bite, you'll actually get bit several hundred yards away from where those fish were, just because it took them a little bit of time to swim up and into your spread and eat while they were following you. So keep that in mind. But work that structure. Keep that in mind from where they might have been, several hundred yards away. Work that area. And then if you can't find marks, bait, or whatever, I always you could start making circles, make bigger circles. If you find something, kind of wander in that direction a little bit. See if you can find something that you like. See if you can pick up the trail of the fish and birds. It's just kind of like tracking a deer. If you lose the blood trail. What are you pointing at me for?
I was going to see whose analogy. I thought you were going to keep going, and I was going to ask Taco whose analogy was better. Because I did the dinosaur one. You were about to compare it to a blood trail.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah, but
Mine's real life.
he was circling a spot. Yeah.
Dinosaurs ruled the earth. Not deer.
They weren't at the same time as humans.
I don't
You
know.
can't prove that, actually.
I've never seen a dinosaur. I've seen a bunch of deers.
Go to the museum.
How many deers have you catched this year, Taco?
None actually.
You spent a whole about a week and a half chasing them deers
Yeah, 8 days.
out in Ohio. He didn't even pull the trigger once, folks.
It's all right.
What a lousy time.
Were you just sightseeing?
Just trophy hunting.
It was nice. It was like get away from RJ for a week. It was relaxing.
He was trophy hunting.
All right.
Sounds like a rich white guy sport.
Yeah. Did you drink bourbon on the rocks at night?
No. Bush lattes.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to imagine you're on a boat, your favorite boat, whether it's your boat, your favorite charter boat, Jersey Nut Sport Fishing. You're trolling along. You've been fishing for a couple hours. Captain Smokey's telling the crew to jig the rods. And boom.
Jig him! Jig him!
You're covered up. 6 eyeballs on. You got the bite. You got him. You just got him giddy.
Got him giddy.
And we're going to talk to you in part 2 about the end, well, after the bite.
Yeah, well, that part you just described, that's what I live for. Got me going. I'm pretty excited now.
You got the bite. I heard this when I was young. What do people call it? The Chinese fire drill.
Nah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yes, it is.
Cockpit chaos.
Mm-hmm. It's supposed to be.
It's what we're going to talk about in part 2 of the Bigeye series. We'll see you then. We're going to sign off. Captain Taco, give me a Get 'em Giddy.
Get 'em giddy.
Captain Smokey.
Get him giddy.
And Get 'em Giddy.
Get 'em giddy.